sensing this danger. This is the greatest showman! He is floating on air now! He's going to send it back.
It's the Multicultural AFL Footy Show with Vanessa Gatica, Habib Kang, Gabriel D'Angelo and George Gracios.
Hello and welcome to the NEMBC's Multicultural AFL Footy Show. I am Vanessa Gatica and on tonight's panel are Javier, Gabriel and George. Hello guys.
Hello Vanessa.
Hi Vanessa.
Collingwood beat Carlton on Thursday night by 21 points in front of 51,000 spectators and would have been many more if the MCG and MCC had all car park entrances open. A wake up for the AFL not to sell as many tickets next time round. Cars were parking illegally in the streets or driving away and heading home before the game even started. Friday evening, Geelong won by 1 point against Brisbane, but not without controversy of missed free kicks by the umpires and another big cat suspended for 2 weeks for head height strike. A John Sydney side at the SCG humiliated the Adelaide Crows by 33 points and Port Adelaide was too good for Essendon winning by 54 points. You touched, Javier, on the game's last quarter controversy, umpire missing free kicks calls, and that head-high hit by Gary Rohan on Lachie Neale.
Well, I think more than anything, they are trying to send a strong message with the Lachie Neale decision that there was a talk that he might have staged or something like that. But I think for AFL, they are clear. They want to make a clear message. On the other hand, I don't know what's happening at Geelong, and their coach is getting involved. Gingerfield last week, Rohan this week. So I don't know what is happening at the Geelong at the moment. Hopefully, it's not like a starting of a trend or something like that. But with the umpire missing the free kick calls, I think umpire is having a bad day at the moment. To be on the umpire's side, I can say that there's so many rule changes and this and that, and sometimes that sort of confuses them as well. But some of the calls were shocking, and it had a big impact on the game too. So I think that way it was pretty bad.
Well, I don't know if necessarily the bad call was because of the rule change per se, because the hole in the ball on Blitzers, it's been like that for 100 years. I mean, that was a hole in the ball. So I just don't understand why, if it was in any other game, in any other situation, whether it be in the last minute at some other ground, they would have called it, but this time around they didn't.
So you're saying if that play was further up the ground, it would have been called incorrect disposal or holding the ball?
Possibly. I think so, because there are times where you see umpires give decisions in moments that would not really affect the game that much, and also against specific teams. Let's be honest, there are some teams that sort of get more free kicks than others. But that particular game where the free kick against Blitzers, that should have been called. Brisbane were hard done by.
Yeah. I don't think there's any sort of two sort of views on that. I think that's pretty straightforward. But coming on to the games, I think Carlton, Clips need to get his pace back or so, or needs to perform better. We thought that with the other players coming in and doing good, he should have come up with better.
I agree.
Yeah.
But true. But also at the same time, I think Carlton, they played against Richmond last week.
Yeah.
And then they played against Collingwood this week, and people forget that Collingwood were in the finals. I mean, they got smashed in their last game by Geelong, but they were still in the finals. And we sort of think, okay, because of the off season they had, that they're falling apart, but they're still around. So I think Carlton was sort of, well, they were playing against two decent sides. I don't know about what you think.
Well, look, to their credit, they got back to winning ways. They can finally put to bed the controversy with Adam Treloar.
Yeah.
Their midfield stood up, plays like Scott Pendlebury, who we expect nothing but classy play. He's always setting up moves for his side. Taylor Adams has, hopefully for Collingwood, filled the gap that Treloar will leave.
And he did in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And they needed a strong performance from him. And what about Jordan De Goey? I think he's actually settled the argument. He's a forward, not a midfielder, Vanessa. That's his best position. So Nathan Buckley, if you're watching and listening, leave De Goey up forward.
Yeah.
Well, I think Geelong, as we mentioned before, I think they probably got lucky the way Brisbane came in.
Horacio Fantasia, the way he played, and Alira is just, I think, that missing piece in the puzzle that's making Port Adelaide that notch above than what they were last year. They were excellent.
Look, I was pleased that Mitch Georgiades is one of the multicultural kids we've been promoting over the last year and a bit.
Yeah.
Good to see that he got the late call up and kicked 4 goals to justify his selection.
Well, I believe Sydney, I think there was no surprise there. And the way they played against Brisbane a week before, I think it was always on the cards. Although Adelaide did do a little bit better for themselves. Yeah.
The Melbourne Demons made a short work of St Kilda to win by 3 goals, while the Gold Coast Suns dominated North Melbourne by 59 points, and Richmond went on their merry way, beating Hawthorn by almost 5 goals. Gabriel, what happened to your Saints?
We're going to commercial. We'll be right back. No.
Seriously, what do you reckon is going?
They played badly. They played badly, and it was a huge wake-up call for St Kilda. Just to let them know that they're not there yet, that they're not at the calibre of a Richmond or even a Collingwood or a Port Adelaide. They have a long way to go. It was extremely disappointing to see the skill errors, the unforced errors that were on show for St Kilda, because there was this little patch of play in the second quarter where they just went berserk, and it was fantastic, and then they just catapulted and Melbourne just completely took over. And you know, I don't want to harp on about a particular player, but for the money, but for the money they've paid for him, Brad Hill really should be doing much better than what he is doing right now. But congratulations to Melbourne. They played very, very good footy. Max Gawn was sensational. Petrarca is a gun. So, but it's a huge wake-up call for the Saints.
And Keziah Pickett, what an exciting find he's been for the Demons.
Yes.
Melbourne supporters are very, very happy at the moment. It's a great start for them. They're showing some resolve and some consistency finally, which is what their supporters have been crying out for. And as you touched on, Gabriel, Max Gawn is back to his best from 2 years ago, and Petrarca, one of the best centre-half forwards going at the moment.
Yeah, I think 2-0 is probably the result they were hoping for, and they've probably got it. Although Melbourne fans finally got a chance to cheer up now. And with Gold Coast, I think we were expecting that with North Melbourne, because North Melbourne is in that building up stage. Even their coach Noble, he was saying that he probably doesn't even know how the players are playing at the moment.
Doesn't even know who the players are.
Yeah, he's getting there at the moment. And I think the good thing is I think Ben Cunnington is coming back next week, so that's going to boost their midfield and overall team as well. I think we might expect a little bit of better game from North Melbourne next week.
Well, we hope so, because North Melbourne, like you said, they're doing a rebuild of a rebuild. So, you know, they need to get as much game time to the young players as possible. And if they get the experience and start playing well, then who knows what could happen. But it was Gold Coast was going to win that one. And the Richmond versus Hawthorn game, your Hawks, hey, you got nothing to complain about. You've seen plenty of premierships.
I actually went to the match, and I'm quite pleased that the Hawks hung in there for 4 quarters. They didn't drop their bundle. And Richmond, just another regulation win, really. I thought that they could have put the sword to the Hawks, but the Hawks hung in there. And again, there's some good young talent emerging for the Hawks. I've been singing the praises of CJ, Chonkyuoth Giath. Again, showed some promise, involved in some really good passages of play. But the Tigers...
Richmond are Richmond.
Yeah.
And there's like a light at the end of the tunnel where they've scored 12 behind, so I think they could have been much better. That's something that the teams need to cash on as well with Richmond. But Richmond just too good at the moment.
Too good. Thank you, guys. And we'll be back with more reviews and previews after the break. You are with the Multicultural Footy Show. Back again, the Western Bulldogs won by 7 points against the West Coast Eagles, with Marcus Bontempelli, the doggy hero, once again. And Fremantle at home in Perth crushed the GWS Giants by 31 points. George, let's have some independent doggy comments, please.
Okay. I know this is your favourite segment of the show, Habir and Vanessa, but it was a brilliant performance by the Bulldogs. We've been blessed with the quality football we've seen so far, but this one was a classic, and the Doggies just managed to hang on in what was an absolute classic, and Bontempelli, superstar.
The cherry of the cake that the captain kicked the goal 100 and led the win of the game was just stunning.
Yeah. What 150th for Liba as well. So he would have been better if he kicked that first goal, but still, good performance by him. And overall, there was a lot of wasteful shots as well, again, from Bulldogs. That might hurt them in some games, definitely.
Inaccuracy, right? It's
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
Because the midfield of the Bulldogs is
Yeah.
tremendous.
Yep.
It's awesome. One of probably the best in the competition. But the accuracy from the Bulldogs last year hurt them quite a lot, and this year it's starting to bite them a little bit. If the Bulldogs can kick straight, my God, they're going to be really, really tough. They could give Richmond a run for their money. You never know.
Yeah, they're probably on the best handball thing at the moment. The way they are handballing at the moment, it's probably one of the best. So all they need is a straight kicking.
Yeah, when they get that running game going, Habib, they're exhilarating to watch. And they had some of the lesser lights like Vandermeer and Aaron Norton step up. They were challenged. They were 2 goals down at three-quarter time. In the end, it was a great performance. It was a great win. It'll boost their confidence because they do have a tough run, the Dogs. But yeah, full credit to the Eagles as well. They hung in there and they weren't prepared to take a backward step.
Yeah, well, they are an amazing team, and Natanui.
Well, Nick Natanui, though, the hit outs, he won all the hit outs. It was just stunning how the advantage give that to the team. And even though with Nick Natanui doing that, the Bulldogs win.
Yeah, I think Stephen Martin did well as well, I would say. And he's helping Tim English come up. So that's exactly what he's there for. And I think that's happening. So that's encouraging for especially the Bulldogs fans. And free of the GWS Giants, I think there was a dismal performance by Giants. 50 marks in the 50 as compared to 5. I think that was a shocking thing from if team like GWS, where they have such a good players still on the list, although they've lost many, but still they've got very good players on their list. And it was like a dismal performance. It was like they didn't want to be there. And Freo, although they were very wasteful, still they stood up and won the game.
Yeah, but we'll see how they go against Carlton. That'll be a very interesting encounter, especially seeing as Nat Fyfe won't be available after that massive hit to the head. So we'll see how we go. But Fremantle, they played very, very well. And near the end, I think they thought, we're going to win. It's okay. Let's just have the win and let's just move on.
Well, from the Giants' perspective, it's been an alarming drop-off in terms of intensity and efforts. They weren't manning up. There were acts of indiscipline. So Leon Cameron has his work cut out. He's staring down the barrel with the pressure really coming down on him and his team. They really need to find some answers very quickly.
Yeah, and I think he's been spoken to as well, I've heard.
Thank you, guys.
You heard it first.
Well, moving right along to this Easter weekend, starting with tonight, as Queensland's COVID-4 change of venue from the Gabba to Marvel Stadium in Melbourne, where the Brisbane Lions take on a confident Collingwood outfit in a few minutes' time. Good Friday at North Melbourne take on the Doggies at Marvel, and in the evening from Adelaide Oval, the Crows play the Gold Coast Suns. Big one on Saturday is at the G and has Richmond playing Sydney. Gabriel.
Well, it's going to be a good game. I'm excited about this one. I think Richmond, because Richmond are Richmond, you wouldn't really tip against them because the way they are playing and just the way they go about their business. Richmond are just fantastic. I think Sydney, the way they've been playing these past 2 games has been really a breath of fresh air. And the young guys like Errol Goulden, he's been phenomenal. He's this jewel that's just come out of nowhere. He's been playing so well. And Buddy, his performance, the way he came back. I think Sydney, if they can pull off an upset, then we can really truly say that Sydney, they're probably right up there. It could happen. Who knows? I don't think it will, because not because they're a bad side or anything like that. It's just that I just don't see a reason to tip against Richmond right now.
Look, I'm prepared to tip the Sydney Swans. Their forward line will really trouble them. Players like Tom Papley, Isaac Heaney, Blakey, Lance Buddy Franklin's back. So he'll obviously take one of the best defenders. I don't discount Sydney Swans at all, Gabriel.
No, I didn't say they weren't going to win, but I mean, they've got a chance of doing it. But Richmond at the MCG, well, I don't know.
You can still see that hunger, the way they're tackling the other team at the moment, and it's not like they've won 3 premiership. It's like they are going for a premiership after that many years or so. So it hasn't died down or anything, unless they put their guard down a little bit. Then Sydney can definitely, that's one of the teams who can pounce on. But I think Richmond at MCG, might be too strong unless they want to lose. So yeah, with other games, I think Brisbane versus Collingwood, it has been changed. The venue's changed. Couple of players going in for COVID test from Collingwood as well. So there's a lot of things around that game. Hopefully, the players can put it aside, whatever's happening, and then focus on the game. And it's going to be a cracker of a game. It's in Marvel. I think that probably give a bit of advantage to Collingwood. And they're moving the ball well, but Chris Fagan and his team, I think they will be roaring to go this time.
Well, Brisbane can take heart from their performance against Geelong. Sure, they lost the match. Controversial umpiring decisions in the end cost them, but they're 0-2, which we never expected. So they'll be desperate to win. And again, I think that they have a really good opportunity to upset the tipsters.
I think that Brisbane definitely, after that fiasco against Geelong, I think that they really want to make amends for what had happened, get some sort of natural justice, so to speak. So, I think Brisbane are going to win. North Melbourne against the Bulldogs, North Melbourne 100 points. They'll easily beat the Bulldogs. They're doing badly at the moment. But the Bulldogs should win that one.
Should win that one. I think, but Ben Kennington, I think he's coming. He's going to be a good factor, and with other people sort of upping their ante, because we saw that in the other game as well, that there was a phase where North Melbourne sort of stood up and played a good game. So I highly doubt they will be able to do that for 4 quarters. But nevertheless, I'm expecting a better performance from North Melbourne this game.
We'll see what happens. But you're right, they do it in these little drips and drabs, and I don't think they're going to do it for the whole 4 quarters, but we'll see how we go. Stranger things have happened. And, the Adelaide Crows against Gold Coast. Gold Coast, it's been a bit... this is going to be an interesting one. I actually think Adelaide have a good chance of winning this one.
Because in the last game as well, although they lost against Sydney, they had more scoring shots. They couldn't convert in, and Tex already scored like 6 goals or so, and he's probably, the leader at the Coleman medal ladder at the moment. And he's having a good time. And Adelaide you can't just write them off with their performance against Sydney as well. So I think they will give them a run for their money to Gold Coast. But to me, I think Gold Coast might come on top on that one. So because they're just a bit stronger at the moment for me.
Okay.
Yeah, look, I'm tipping Adelaide, to be honest. They played reasonably well against the Sydney Swans. It's always a tricky trip to Sydney. Their opening performance was fantastic. So they'll take some heart from that Adelaide. They're returning to their home ground. So they'll have some confidence that they can repeat the opening round heroics.
Thank you, guys. The panel will be back on the other side of this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back as we continue with our previews of the last 5 games of the Easter round of AFL Footy. Saturday's games, Essendon and St Kilda play from Marvel Stadium, while the West Coast Eagles in Perth take on Port Adelaide. Easter Sunday, Carlton from Marvel Stadium play Fremantle, and in the evening from Manuka Oval in Canberra, the GWS Giants met the Melbourne Demons, with the last game of the round on Monday afternoon between Geelong and Hawthorn from the G. George, what are your thoughts?
Well, Essendon have been terribly disappointing. They're battered and bruised. They go into their clash without Dylan Shiel, 4 to 6 weeks, having suffered a meniscal damage to his left knee. Sam Draper, 8 to 10 weeks with a syndesmosis injury. And Jai Caldwell, who tore a hamstring, so he's out for 6 to maybe 8 weeks. So they're battered and bruised. They're down on confidence. If we look back at their opening match against Hawthorn, up by 39 points at half-time, conspired to lose that match and outclassed against Port Adelaide. I thought they went into that particular match just focusing on Orazio Fantasia rather than worrying about all 22 players. So I don't think they were particularly focused and disciplined. So I can see another heavy defeat coming up for the bedraggled Bombers.
Well, because of all the things that you said, I'm thinking, because of all the outs, because of the way they're playing, which has been really badly like this past few weeks, and because they're playing against St Kilda, of course, Essendon are going to win. Look, Essendon have been really disappointing. I don't think anybody were really expecting them to be playing as badly as they have been. And you can even see from the body language of players like McDonald Tipperwoody, who is a gun. He's one of my favourite players. He's an absolute superstar. You just see him, and he just seems a bit deflated. Like he's not been allowed to be the player that we all know and love. It's like the instructions he's been given is sort of making him, put down his natural abilities and talents. St Kilda, they have to come back after that performance against Melbourne. They desperately need to because their performance against Melbourne was not acceptable. Because of that, I think St Kilda could beat Essendon.
Yeah, I think St Kilda missed those players which were injured in that game against Melbourne, but I think they will be too good for Essendon. And Essendon, as I said before as well in the other show, that they need to get their structure going right from the coach to the players and everyone. So I have no hope there for Essendon, I suppose, in this game. And West Coast Eagles and Port Adelaide, that's going to be a cracker of a game, I
That's
suppose.
the match of the round, Habir.
Yeah, definitely, and because it's at Optus Stadium. It's at Optus Stadium. I think that's where West Coast will sort of bounce back. And Port Adelaide, I wouldn't be surprised like if they win because they've got so many superstars and the way they're performing at the moment. That will be a good test for them. And like after they've beaten a couple of teams, but this is going to be a good test for them.
Yeah. If they beat West Coast in Perth, then I think you can well and truly say Port Adelaide
They've stamped themselves as the early premiership contenders.
more than stand themselves. Yeah, absolutely. I think that Port Adelaide must definitely have a chance. I think that they could give West Coast a headache. West Coast are a very good team. They're a strong side. And Natanui, he's an absolute superstar. McGovern, is a gun as well. So West Coast definitely have the players in their arsenal to cause Port Adelaide a lot of discomfort. But I think Port Adelaide might win.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. And I'm looking forward to the midfield clashes. Gaff and these sort of players taking on Port Adelaide's really strong midfield as well.
Yeah,
yeah.
And Fantasia's just he's just playing beautiful footy at the moment.
Yeah, and with Fremantle, I think they're going to miss Nat 5, the game against Carlton. I think they're going to miss him dearly. And I think it's going to be Carlton for me, especially with Nat 5 is out. And other one, Melbourne Demons, I think Giants should bounce back in this one, but although I don't see them bounce back against Melbourne, so it's Melbourne for me. And Geelong versus Hawthorn, I'm still looking forward to that game. Hawthorn maybe not doing that good at the moment, but against Geelong, I think they'll probably come up with their best game. But I will still tip Geelong.
Yeah, like you said, even though Hawthorn aren't as what they once were, playing against Geelong, it's going to be fireworks. So I think Hawthorn are going to come out swinging, but I think Geelong are a little bit too strong. And GWS against Melbourne, I'm going to go for Melbourne on that one. The way they've been playing at the moment, it's been really impressive. And Carlton against Fremantle, because it's at home Carlton, but Fremantle could surprise.
Yeah, look, I like the Demons. I enjoyed the way they played against St Kilda. It's great to see their name players find their true ability and their true form. As for my Hawks against the Cats, I think the Cats will be too strong. They'll be damaging up forward with the likes of Hawkins. Of course, they're missing Gary Rowan from this clash for that silly incident off the ball, knocking out Lachie Neale. But across the ground, again, too much strength and too much ability for the young Hawks.
Very well then. My tips are Brisbane Lions, Western Bulldogs, Gold Coast, Richmond, St Kilda, Port Adelaide, Fremantle, Melbourne and Geelong. I'm agreeing with you guys, Geelong. Well, that's all we have time for this week. You can also watch us in Adelaide, Channel 44 Friday evenings, on Aurora Foxtel TV at midday Saturday, and on the NENBC YouTube AFL. You are listening to this podcast on the Community Radio Network, and the AFL Diversity Language News can be heard on national multicultural radio stations. I am Vanessa Gatica.
I'm Harbi Singh.
I'm Gabriel D'Angelo.
And I'm George Gracios.
Thank you and see you next week.